Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Leonel Del Rey here with another episode of Insomniac, the series. Unfortunately, it's becoming a series now. This means I cannot sleep. That's no fun. But anyway, I was watching this National Geographic series today at work, and it was just a bunch of different sort of animals, pretty much living in the wild. Today was happened to be. The one about the deep blue sea, about whales and sharks and schools of fish and things like that. But I've seen lots of them uh, about just all different types of forest animals, the Sahara jungle and things like that. And it all seems to have the same sort of like theme, like as far as life and I don't know, the circle of life, I guess you want to put it that way, and how awesome and brutal at the same time nature is. And I think that goes just for things in general. I think that's a smaller, that's a micro observation for a macro sort of happening in the world. It's just so crazy. It's like I honestly think sometimes life is like the greatest game ever. You know what I mean? Where it's like I don't know, like you're kind of thrown into it and you have to play it right because even if you do nothing with your life, you're still doing something with your life. You know what I mean? Like it's still passing by, you're still living it. I guess unless you kill yourself, but barring that, like I don't know, even like I follow Eckhart Tolle a lot, and he says, even if you sit in a room like your whole life, even if you decide to like uh forego all sensual pleasures, you're still living your life. You still got to do something with that time, that you have. So nobody can take a nobody cannot do actions in life because even the act of sitting or the act of meditating is still an action. So while we're alive, there's no way we cannot be committing actions, and kind of got me away from my original point. But um, long story short is that like it's a great game. It's pretty wild. It's something that you would never sign up for, but at the same time, the highs and the lows, the terribleness and the pleasures, it's like it's beyond your wildest dreams. Who would sign up for life really? They knew what it was. Not many, I don't think, you know. But we're here and we have to live it and we're trapped in these trapped. We we're in these human bodies and we're living this we're playing this crazy game all through like a sack of like flesh and blood and bones. So it's like muscles. So it's like it's pretty wild. Like we're very fragile humans. Like we're actually very tough because for what we are, we survive a lot of things, right? Like maybe we're like average humans like what 5'10", 6 foot. I don't know, but of blood, bone, and muscle. I mean that's not really the grand scheme of things. That's not really very big or secure, really. You know what I'm saying? Like even elephants die of like traumatic deaths and all these different things. So it's like 6 foot of blood, bone, or whatever. It's really not much, but we have our brains and we have our hearts and we have our determination. We have our will. And what's great about nature is that um, something great can be compacted into something really small. So even though we're this small, we can lift heavy objects, for our size anyway. Maybe not as much as an ant, but for our size, we can lift heavy objects. Um, and with using our brains, we can figure out how to put things on an angle and just come at things from different ways. If you do CrossFit, I mean, there's some huge weights that you'd probably never think you'd be able to lift above your head, but knowing your body and knowing body techniques and building yourself up, you can get there. The joint, you know, to your bones is like it's super strong. It can handle a lot of wear and tear, like, and that's pretty insane. It's pretty amazing. But again, getting back to my original point, I rant. That's what I do. It's just it's an insane game, and the highs and the lows are part of it. Uh, I think about the worst things that can possibly happen. I think about those stuff a lot because I'm an insomniac, and that's probably why I can't sleep. Is because I'm thinking about things that probably will never happen. Just insanely horrible things, and sometimes petty things that even if it went wrong, it really wouldn't be that much of a um, disaster. But animals go through this stuff like every day. Like they live so majestically, and I'm sure there's scientific reasons for this, you know, but just the observation is that they live so majestically. It's insane. It's like they go out every day just living their lives, like less depressed than we are, I would imagine. And they live in the fucking wild. They know, like, they know that danger's around the corner at every turn, and they don't dwell on it. They just live their lives and they fight their battles. And if they happen to go, they go. And I thought that was very similar to Marcus Aurelius. I think he said that a person dying should be like uh, a ripe fruit dropping from a tree. There's no sort of struggle. I mean, maybe I guess depends on if you're dying violently, but I think what he tried to say is that there was no unnecessary clinging to life. Once you fulfilled your purpose, they just kind of, and it was time. It just goes. That the tree doesn't want to hold on to the fruit, and the fruit doesn't want to hold on to the tree. It's just, it's time to go. And I find that beautiful in nature all around. Like, um, even with us, because like, you remember we're nature too. It's like when it's time for you know, a young fawn or animal to leave the nest, it's like the mom knows it's time for it to go and even push it out, and the kid knows it's time for it to go too. It just gets to a certain age where there's a conflict, and they both feel it, and then it's time for you to go. You're too big for this place now. And I really wish, to a certain degree, humans would do that more. It's like human, we have the gift and the curse of being able to force things, being able to, you know, um, use our forebrain to, I guess, counteract things that are natural, and that's good. I think sometimes when you feel like you want to kill somebody, you know, you probably shouldn't. So I think there's definitely good aspects to that, but I also think that maybe we rely on that too much, and I think there's some natural things that we have to keep on because there's a sort of intelligence there that maybe we don't fully understand, or maybe we fully understand, we choose to ignore it. But um, I feel the same way when it's time for somebody to leave the house. I feel like when you get to the age where you start having problems with your father or your mother or whatever, like like serious issues. And I say serious as in like, you know, you want to be do your own thing, and your parents still want you to be a kid and listen to them, and under my roof, yada yada yada. Um, I think maybe if that means it's time to go, or it means it's time for you to be looking for something else. Like me and my stepfather, we didn't get along for the longest, and he is kind of a jerk. He's got a lot of good points to him, but he's kind of a jerk. But at the same time, it's like yeah, it was time for me to go, man. Like two bulls can't be in the same pen, and it's not always like that, but I think for the most part, that's what it means time, when you're starting having trouble with your mom and, she's coming overbearing, whatever the case may be, is like, it's time for you to start. It means that you're past the age of being a kid, and there's going to be rough patches, when you become a teenager and stuff like that, but, it's this nature's way of telling you, you have your own ideas, you have your own thoughts on life, and maybe you should start living it for yourself to a certain degree, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're thinking, oh, that's too young for a 16-year-old. But you have to remember, back in the day, when you were 16, you were like damn near grown. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we haven't really changed that much as humans. It's not like if that's very more cultural, really. I mean, I guess people live a little bit longer now, but I mean, still, I think that was mostly cultural. Like, a 16-year-old back in the day and a 16-year-old now are two completely, I wouldn't say completely, but, very different people. So it's like, it's possible. I honestly, especially for my boys, um, I want them to go out early, to be completely honest with you. I want my boys to get some experience under their belt, because in my opinion, they're the ones that's gonna have to be the more experienced and protect and provide. You know what I'm trying to say? So you want them to have that experience to cut their teeth early, in my opinion. So yeah. And just like death, rape, and having your kids eaten in front of you. I mean, animals go through these horrible, horrible things like on a daily basis. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's insane how well they handle it, and they just handle it everything so majestically. And going back to Eckhart Tolle, it's like there is a there's a fact of suffering. Like, okay, your kid just got eaten, or you were just cuckolded, or somebody new just got raped, or something horrible. Insert or something horrible there. There's the fact that happened, and then there's what you put on top of it. There is how you perceive it. There's how you um your sort of stance, your view of it, and your opinion of it. And it's like, does it have to be, you know do you have to add more to it than the situation already is? Can you just respond to the situation? you know and I know you don't understand what I'm saying, but for instance, insomnia, right? Like, sometimes I think about, like, oh my god, the collagen in my skin is gonna go bad because I'm gonna start looking old, which I am starting to look old because I haven't slept. And this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, and just all the horrible things about not sleeping, which is, I'm sure, all true. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It seems to be across the board that the people who do best at something and people who, I don't want to say don't care, but don't really, not really stunted by the gravity of the situation. So it's like, for instance, I could freak out about it, which I have done many times, and that just made it worse. Or I could just say, I'm not sleeping, okay, and draw, like I was trying to do, or write in a book, you know what I mean, or something like that, or make a video, you know what I mean, and just kind of take advantage of it, and like, look, the situation is happening anyway. Why would I add more fear and anxiety to it? You know what I mean? Like, why add more fear and anxiety to a situation that's already happening? Maybe you can, dare I say, enjoy it. I mean, every moment that goes by is equal to the next moment that is coming, and equal to the next moment to the moment that has just gone. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like you can live a well lived life if you just said that you were there for every moment. And it's hard, right? If you're in extreme pain, it's hard to just be there in the moment. To a certain degree, it's easy actually, because you're not thinking of anything else but that pain. But it's it's not where you want to be. You want to disassociate from that pain. That goes back to a scene in what is it, in Fight Club, where uh what is it, Brad Pitt's character, Tyler Durden, he he throws some sort of like acid onto Edward Norton's, the character's arm. And Edward Norton's character is like trying to go to this happy place, like trying to sort of completely disassociate from the pain. Go to your happy place, go to your happy cave, whatever. And Brad Pitt's character is like, no, be here right now. He's like, you're missing the greatest moment of your life. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, there's something to that, there's something to that. Like, how even in pain, if you are present, maybe, I'm not saying something good, but maybe there's some sort of aliveness there. There's an aspect to life. Maybe it's a sick aspect, but it's an aspect to life that most people won't go. And if you can be present there, it's like almost godlike, you know? To be able to observe your emotions and pick and choose which one you want to be in, which one you want to allow in, and just feel it and not judge it, just feel it. That's fucking insane. Like, quite literally insane, but at the same time, cool insane. You know what I mean? Like, that's so insane. And I say that to say that a lot of animals experience this every day. Like, obviously, they're not thinking that deeply. They're just in fucking sheer terror. I can only imagine. But I just find it interesting how after the situation is done, they can go back to their regular lives. Like, obviously, they'd be more cautious, but they're not. You know, I don't know. They're not. They don't let it ruin their whole fucking existence afterwards. Whereas humans go through one thing and